Welcome to Herbally Yours, an adventure into the world of natural medicine. Here is your host, Dr. Ellen Kamhi, the natural nurse who will help you take the leap to ultimate wellness.
And greetings. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is Ellen Kamhi, the natural nurse. And we're here for another edition of Herbally Yours, right here on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. Herbally Yours brings you the latest information about the many facets in the world of natural living. And today, I'm going to talk a little bit about men's health naturally, because I feel like that is a topic that is really ignored so often. And I have to say, you guys, it's probably men's fault that it's so ignored, because men often just do not pay attention to their health and wellness until there's a pretty screaming reason to, like a really big symptom, like very often, unfortunately, it's a heart attack. And then they go, oh, yikes, I've been not necessarily paying attention to my health and wellness. And that actually has been documented to be more prevalent with men. So we're going to talk about that, but I'd also like you to know that if you visit my website, naturalnurse.com, and go to calendar, and this is any time, day or night, any time of the year, you can get on the mailing list if you'd like, just by going to the bottom of the page at naturalnurse.com and typing in your email address, nothing else. And you can also just go to calendar directly, because that's where we list all of our up-and-coming events. And we have so many things that are going to be going on locally. If you're a local listener in our New York area, we have so many events coming up. And if you're an online listener, or you're listening anywhere in the world, because we do have thousands of listeners and thousands of downloaders everywhere in the world, then so many of our events are online, and those are all, of course, open to anyone. And if you see one that's at a time that doesn't gel for you, you can always get an archived version. Right now, when I'm looking online, and whenever you look online, this changes all the time, but right now I have hemp, THC, CBD, cannabis, endocannabinoids, what's all the buzz? And many of these, including this course, has CE credits for professionals. So if you're a nurse or an ND or an NP, which is a nurse practitioner, or an RD, which is a registered dietitian or a clinical nutritionist, or an LMT, which is a licensed massage therapist, all of that, you get 3 CEUs if you take these classes. But you don't have to be a professional to take them. You can take them just for your own interest in health. So we have another one coming up called Career Paths in Natural Health, and that's always available all the time. If it's not online when you're looking, we do that as a private or as an archive. And that's because, many people feel that they're not so happy with whatever they're doing in life, but then they have their own deep interest in natural health care. Well, most of you do if you're listening to Herbally Yours. So let's say you would like to do that as what you do for a profession. Well, you can. And Career Paths in Natural Health, career counseling with the natural nurse, leads you in that direction. And I have hundreds of documented cases where people did take that class, and now they are doing natural health as their lifestyle. They may not be a healthcare provider, but let's say you're a graphic design artist or any profession whatsoever. But all day surrounding you is a language. All day surrounding you is what's going on in the profession that you have. So if you're a graphic design artist for a company that makes candy, let's say, then you're making, designs of candy, and that's a discussion around you all day. Well, if you took that same skill and moved yourself over to a nutraceutical company, a natural healthcare provider, then instead you might be doing graphic design all about herbs all day. And if you're doing that while you're still still making your profession as a graphic design artist, the language, the discussion, the stuff that you're looking up because you're putting it into beautiful graphic designs and advertising is all about that. So that's another way to be immersed in a profession in natural health. So really, it doesn't matter where you start. And so many people that I have worked with are now totally, totally immersed in that kind of knowledge. And then we have lots of on-ground stuff, like we have one coming up on edible and medicinal plants of South Florida. That's because, we're in the winter season at this moment, but you might look at the naturalnurse.com calendar and find out we have lots of those classes in the Long Island area, in lots of venues in the Long Island area. For instance, Restoration Farm, which is a wonderful organic biodynamic farm, actually, where you can become a CSA member or you can just go there to get food. It's the best. It tastes so different. I will tell you that. It's just delicious food, and that's, of course, in the summer season. But at Restoration Farm, every year, we give classes and workshops and outside herb walks, and also a day where we gather wild plants and make them into medicine. So you can find out when by being on the mailing list or by going to naturalnurse.com calendar. Another place we work very closely with are the Sisters of St. Joseph's. St. Joseph's is a beautiful convent and church in Brentwood. It's 126 acres, and the sisters there have converted a very large part of it to organic farms. So there's acres and acres and acres of organic farms there, and there's also a whole farm with goats and chickens and rabbits that you can just come and walk around on with your children. And there's also organic farm stands where they grow their own right there. And that's where I give a walk along with the sisters, and also the Brentwood Library. I give lots of classes at the Brentwood Library and the Long Beach Library and the Oyster Bay Library. So there's so much going on, most of which is completely free in your area wherever you are, both online and on ground. So just go to naturalnurse.com and look at calendar. You'll see the classes. Or go to naturalnurse.com and put your email in. And you'll also find out about all of our shows that we do, lots of radio shows. Here, in fact, of course, on the voice of Nassau Community College at 90.3 WHPC. So today we're going to talk a little bit about men's health, as I mentioned. And, I feel bad for men because let's talk about one thing that most people know about that women deal with. Women deal with lots of different kinds of hormonal issues as they go through their life, and they're given a lot of passes about that. I have to say, I'm a woman, so I'm allowed to say that. What do I mean by that? I mean that when women get in, let's say, a moody day, they have a moody day, and if you're a woman or if you know one, like if you're a husband or a boyfriend, or if you're a woman, you and other women go through monthly cycles, and there's a certain part of the cycle where you might get moody and, kind of be irritated and not act so nicely to those around you. And women are given a pass about that. What do I mean? People will say, oh, it's their monthly cycle. So I'm just going to try to ignore this because it'll go away. And the same thing happens again as we move into an older version of ourselves, and many of you are familiar with the term menopause. And menopause actually lasts for about 10 years, where we're going through that same thing, where there's ups and downs, there's a lot of irritation, there's mood swings, there's gaining weight, etc. And when I say women are given a pass, I mean people will say, oh, they're going through menopause, so we're not going to take this too seriously, we're going to support them through it, we're going to feel bad for them through it. That's fine. But in our discussion today about men's health naturally, men who have the same kind of things going on, but they're not given the same kind of permission and pass about it. Yet there's a huge relationship, and there's even a name for it. It's called andropause. But, there's so much attention on feminine health, but maybe men feel left out, and they should. And like I said, it's their fault too, because men tend to pay a lot less attention to their own health than women do. And they usually only visit the doctor after having prolonged symptoms, and are much less likely, and this is verified in all kinds of literature, to go in for a preventive physical, which is really a much better idea. They'll do that for their car. Men are very big on taking care of their cars. Excuse me if this is like a sexist conversation, but it's actually very well documented. So they'll be more interested in checking the oil in their car and checking the tire levels and all that than they will about going in for their own physical, which is like checking the tires and checking the oil before there is a breakdown. So that would be a really, really big thing. But there's a lot of key areas that men really do need to focus on, and this is where the symptoms usually come in that are, they wait, and then it's a wake-up call. And that is heart health, energy enhancement, mental acuity, prostate wellness, and sexual support. And I've written many, many books. For those of you who do go to naturalnurse.com books, you can see all of them there. I have 15 books or so listed there. And one that's very specific that talks about a lot in terms of hormonal wellness and things that affect both men and women is called The Natural Guide to Great Sex. In that book, I do go very deeply into all the varying hormonal changes that happen in both men and women, and more specifically, what can you do about it naturally? So let's talk about heart health, because heart health does affect, by the way, men and women both. It's just that there seems to be more knowledge, or I don't know if it's knowledge or worry about men having heart problems than women. But the truth is that both men and women have heart issues. And in fact, heart disease is the leading cause for women as well as for men. It's interesting because people don't tend to know that, but it is true. So let's look at some herbs that are so helpful to maintain heart health. And one that is really my favorite, and I have a bottle of it right here because I use it myself, is hawthorn. Hawthorn has a very strong and well-documented scientific normalizing effect on the heart. It improves both the cellular metabolism, while it strengthens the contraction and improves the rate of blood flow throughout the body. And hawthorn protects and maintains the integrity of the arterial walls. So throughout your body, there's circulatory system, and that circulatory system tends to break down as we age and actually break apart, especially due to free radical damage. If you're eating fried food, junk food, baked goods, bread, sugar, that actually creates a break in the cell structure of the circulatory system, which further complicates and leads to all kinds of circulatory and heart disease issues. So hawthorn is something that can help, along with, of course, a super healthy diet. The rainbow diet is my favorite thing to recommend, where my clients actually take around with them white index cards and colored markers. And then all day long, they can just, everything they put in their mouth, take their colored marker and put on the index card the color of the food they ate. And a very easy focus is to try to create a rainbow. And how would you do that? Well, the only way you would do that is eating lots of fruits and vegetables as your main source of food. I don't mean everything else and then one twig of broccoli. I mean fruits and vegetables and colored items as your main source of what you put in your mouth every day. And how you do that is by increasing fruits and vegetables and putting a little colored marker on your index card each time you do. And you want to plan on creating a rainbow each day. So that's why it's called the rainbow diet. One client of mine, I have to say that was a man, we're talking about men's health, he came in and showed me his beautiful cards after a week, and they were all beautifully colored rainbow, and then, of course, he had a hand in his diet diary. And his diet diary was the exact opposite. It was hamburgers, hot dogs, French fries, pizza. That was his diet diary. And I said, wait a minute. How did you get from that to this rainbow? He said, I also ate a bag of Skittles every day. So the Skittles has all the colors in it. So that's how I made the rainbow. And we both laughed because, although it was true, who are we fooling then? Are we fooling me or is he fooling himself, right? So it was kind of cute, though. I appreciated the humor. And he did clean up his act the next week because naturally I said, so let's look at your list of how you feel. Nothing's changed. You're still having energy problems. You're still having sexual problems. You're still having mental acuity problems, and yet you're eating all this rainbow. Why didn't it work? Is that what you're asking me? Okay, well, who's cheating who? So then he actually did go ahead and start having vegetables, and he found he wasn't going to cook the vegetables. So we found a way that was going to work for him, which was go to a Chinese takeout place, and they will actually make steamed vegetables or even steamed vegetables with shrimp or chicken. And without, all that sauce on the side, and then you can put some sauce on it. And, that really worked for him because it was quick, easy, and inexpensive because he was a single guy who drove a truck, right? So he wasn't going to go home and steam vegetables like I had told him to. He was going to go to the fast food restaurants and get the pizza and which has red, right? You could use red on pizza. But what about all the other green colors? So he found going to Chinese takeout place and asking for steamed and then the sauce on the side really worked for him. And they would make vegetable medleys, all different vegetables or just broccoli. And it worked for him so well. And then he usually had some left over and he could take it home and just warm it in the microwave. But it was an easy way for him to vastly increase his consumption of vegetables, basically to a really high level. And he started feeling so much better. And also weight loss was tremendous. And an increase in, sexual wellness, that happened after about 3 or 4 months. So in terms of heart health, hawthorn is one that you can add to your wellness regimen. And that's, of course, if you're a man or a woman. The hawthorn tree is a really beautiful tree. It looks a lot like, we can grow it. We can grow it in our listening area if you're local, where we broadcast out of. And, of course, you are listening to Herbally Yours on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. And I'm Ellen Kamhi, the natural nurse at naturalnurse.com. And we're talking today about natural health, which we always talk about, but in particular with a focus on men. So hawthorn trees can grow beautifully in our local listening area in Garden City, New York, and all around the metro area. They look very similar to a crabapple tree. In fact, crab apples are also very heart healthy. You can just go pick them right off the tree and make a jam out of the they're a little sour, those crab apples. I like them. I just eat them fresh off the tree. But if you don't like sour, you can make them into a little jam with honey. Very heart healthy. Another important thing, herb that you can use is, besides that, is linden. Linden is a very, very heart healthy herb. And you can find that in the health food store, although linden trees can grow near us as well. And coenzyme Q10. Coenzyme Q10 is not an herb, but it's a nutrient that acts like a spark plug and is actually recommended by many cardiologists. And they also will recommend EPA fish oil because many people are deficient in EPA. EPA is called a healthy omega fat. And you can have that tested. There's actually DHA and EPA. Those are both heart-healthy components when we talk about omega-3 oils. You can ask your doctor for a test if you want to know if you have a sufficient amount of EPA and DHA, or you can just go ahead and eat more fish, which tends to be high if it's fatty fish. Some of the best fish for heart health and to increase those omega-3 fatty acids are salmon, but the salmon must be wild salmon, not farm-raised. So you can ask at your store, or you could look at the label. Another really good fish is halibut. Halibut is very high. And another one that's an excellent source of omega-3s and very easy to include are sardines. Some people don't like sardines, so that might be a good choice for you. But when you mix sardines with something else, you often can offset the flavor if you don't like it because it's a strong fishy flavor. But it is really one of the healthiest fish to eat. And also, very, very easy because they'll often come in a sustainably gathered can with just water and no preservatives, so it stays in your easy-to-grab food cabinet there. So it's you can take it with you for lunch to work, and it can be mixed into a salad. You hardly taste it. And the reason sardines are so heart healthy is because they're low on the food chain. And when animals are high on the food chain, something like tuna, they tend to accumulate a vast array of heavy metals, while those that are low on the food chain, like sardines, since they're tiny and are usually only eating things smaller than themselves, they don't accumulate heavy metals. So a very, very healthy choice. Or you can use a good quality EPA fish oil, both in a capsule or as a liquid. Another herb that is super excellent for men and women, actually, is ginseng. Ginseng has been honored as an energizing herb literally for thousands of years and has been used. In fact, ginseng was one of the first export crops of the United States. When the Jesuit priests came to the United States, they found that the natives here were using ginseng, and they thought it was interesting because they were using American ginseng. The genus and species name of that is Panax quinquefolia, but yet it's a very much related plant to Chinese ginseng, which is called Panax ginseng. And in both cases, the ginseng root looks like a little man. And that is so interesting also in terms of the doctrine of signatures, which tells us that a plant will very often look like the kind of thing that it supports. So if this plant looks like a whole tiny man, which if you just can go online nowadays on your phone while you're listening to the show, you can Google ginseng root picture, right, image, and you'll see looks like it has a little head, little arms and legs. And so both the Native American and Chinese warriors, men, wore amulets of ginseng roots around their neck, specifically because they felt that it would increase their power. And this is the ancients. Yet, as is so often the case, when we look at things that might be called folklore, folkloric tales, such as wearing a ginseng amulet around your neck for strength as a warrior and as a man, and also for sexual prowess. That's what they used it for. Then when we later, like now, have scientific studies available to us where we can extract out the active constituents, which are called ginsenosides, from the ginseng root, and actually do cell studies as well as human studies of their effect in terms of health, wellness, energy, immune system support, sexual support, mental acuity support, and where it is now documented that the ancient folkloric uses, in fact, were totally correct. And so now we know for a fact that ginseng, which has been honored as an energizing herb for literally thousands of years, actually is. So that's what we see in herbal medicine. We're able to now, with modern science, document and measure the active constituents that were always used a certain way. So that's an amazing phenomena, that we are able to actually find that these things do have value. We're able to measure how much you should use, the best kind to use, the exact cell structures that they act on, and that's what's so very exciting about herbal medicine. As we move forward in time, we find not only does it work, but we find out how it works. It's called the mechanism of action. Another really, really great herb for prostate health is saw palmetto. And saw palmetto is very well researched, that has been shown to effectively help the prostate gland stay more pliable, have less problems with enlargement. And it's also a healthy herb for women as well, because it supports overall hormone balance. Although it's used more in American herbalism for male health, and really even many urologists and men's health specialists do say, try some saw palmetto. It's well researched, and you can look up research for yourself on a website called PubMed. That's PubMed, PubMed. And that is a free site open to all where you can research anything, such as put in prostate health and saw palmetto. See what you get. There's literally thousands of studies. You're going to have to filter it down and add in some more words so that you shorten the field, unless you have, your whole life to read all these studies. But it's very, very safe. And where I am often is Florida, and I actually pick my own saw palmetto right in Florida when the berries are ripe. The animals eat it, and they get very, very shiny coats from it because it has an excellent fatty acid sterol content, which helps all the tissues of the body. So it actually makes you much healthier over time. And that, again, is well documented by science. So saw palmetto, hawthorn, coenzyme Q10, EPA fish oil, ginseng, and that's American ginseng, or Panax quinquefolia, or Chinese ginseng, which is Panax ginseng. Another really excellent one is ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is a very powerful herb, and it's from another kind of herbal medicine which is very ancient, and that is Ayurvedic medicine. And Ayurvedic medicine is the ancient medicine of India. So with all of this knowledge, you really can affect men's health tremendously. All you guys out there, please go in for your physical. Do a vitamin test, vitamin and mineral test. Everyone should do that so you know exactly which things you need. Start thinking about eating really healthy, exercising, and using some natural therapeutics such as herbal medicine to maintain your health and wellness. So I want to thank you so much for tuning in to Herbally Yours once again. And we produce this show in the studios of 90.3 WHPC, Nassau Community College, Garden City, New York. For further information, send us an email at whpc@ncc.edu. This is your host, Ellen Kamhi at naturalnurse.com, inviting you to join us next week for another edition.